Hey everyone, so in today's video we're taking a deep dive into the HMD Fusion. I'll be giving you a comprehensive review from real-world performance to everyday usability to see if this budget/mid-range device really delivers. Pricing wise, starts off at £229.99 and that's 6GB of RAM for 128GB of storage, and then £249.99 for 8GB of RAM with 256GB of storage. We'll start off quickly checking what we actually get in the box. So we've got the HMD Fusion itself, an information booklet, SIM tray ejecting pin, and a USB-C to USB-C cable. And then the HMD Fusion itself, which comes with this TPU case, which HMD refers to as outfits, but we'll be checking that out later on. And as usual, no charging brick. Up front, we have the 6.56-inch display with the usual budget bezels. To the right, we have the volume buttons and power/lock button, which is also a fingerprint reader. Around the bottom, we have a headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port, and the single firing speaker. To the left is the SIM/SD card tray, which can house one SIM and an SD card up to 1TB. So good to see that. And you can also use an eSIM with this one. Up top, we have another microphone. Around the front, we have the 50 megapixel front-facing camera and the earpiece. And then we have this distinct look around the back, which has exposed screws and highlights its modular nature and ease of repairability, which is a huge push from HMD. And then we also have these connectors at the bottom, which are compatible with what HMD call outfits. And then we have the 108 megapixel rear camera with a 2 megapixel depth camera, and that comes with LED flashlight. The phone feels good in the hand, I have to say, nice and grippy, and then you kind of feel these exposed screws. And the build seems solid enough, no creaking when I try to bend it, so solid build phone from HMD. So let's move on to the display, and that in itself is a 6.56-inch IPS LCD panel coming in only at 720p. That's with a refresh rate of up to 90Hz, so nothing really that exciting. Max brightness is at 600 nits, so that's fairly decent, good to see. In the settings, normal stuff here, white balance, you can adjust your display and text size if you need, and obviously screen refresh rate, adaptive or standard. And then for lock screen settings, again, normal stuff here, double tap to check the phone, or you can lift to check your phone, amongst other settings there. YouTube playback maxes out at 1080p 60 FPS and runs fine on the phone, so don't expect any higher resolution than that. On Netflix, we get wideband level 1 full HD playback resolution, so that's good to see. While it may not be the sharpest display in the market, it offers a decent 90Hz refresh rate, providing smoother scrolling and a more responsive touch experience. The colors are fairly accurate thanks to the IPS technology. Viewing angles aren't the best, to be honest, as there's quite a dip in brightness when you get to more extreme angles. And then outside is fairly legible. 600 nits is definitely helping here for the screen to be bright enough, but in direct sunlight itself you might struggle. The HMD Fusion comes with a single firing mono speaker with Ozo playback support. If we hop into the sound settings, we can toggle Ozo playback and pick from predefined sound modes, and you have dynamic, music, games or cinema. And you can also enable audio boost, which is a step up from the 100% volume, and it makes it a little bit more louder, but we'll have a listen to see what the speaker sounds like.
Great job, Peter. You're 98% successful.
98?
Yes, Spider-Man!
Just sitting there using a laptop. Just an example of the Honor docks here. So this is the kind of no problem. Works absolutely fine with formulas, everything you would expect. Another example of multitasking, so I've just got... the sound can feel a bit flat and it lacks the depth and richness that you would get from a stereo setup. At higher volumes, some audio does get a little distorted, I noticed. The speakers are decent for everyday use, but if you want to watch a lot of media on your phone, you might find them a little bit lacking. Powering the HMD Fusion is the Snapdragon 4 Gen 2 along with 8GB of RAM, and it's all running on Android 14. and HMD promises at least 2 OS upgrades, so again, good to see for the consumers. You can expand the RAM by an additional 8GB with memory extension, so you get a total of 16GB. So I'm going to turn that on. For benchmarks, we get 892 single core score and 1805 multi-core score on Geekbench 6. And Tutu, it hit 433,948, which is a reasonable score. 3D Mark Wildlife Stress Test shows us a FPS range between 3 FPS to 6 FPS, so quite low there, but we'll be checking that out in the gaming section. And then read and write speeds are decent, I would say, with 439 megabytes write and 1 GB read speeds. And then if we have a quick look in the settings to see what kind of different options we have, again, usual stuff here. Connection preferences, Bluetooth, NFC, cast, printing, Chromebook, things like that. You can check your storage. Accessibility features, always good to see. Various options here. And then we'll check out the notification center and the control panel. So fairly stock experience from HMD. If we clear all, just see the app loading speeds. And the Snapdragon 4 Gen 2 is more than capable handling daily tasks. So apps load quick enough. Might be a second or two here and there, but a decent experience, I would have to say. And then we'll check how the RAM works out, and we can see it's working absolutely fine, keeping the apps open in the background. I'll open a more intensive app here, so Call of Duty Mobile Warzone, and then we'll check if that still kept the apps open. And yeah, it has, so good to see that 8GB of RAM definitely helping there, and obviously the additional 8, all apps still loading. Split screen, so 2 apps running side by side, got Chrome and YouTube playing there. So we'll check out some gaming on the HMD Fusion, starting off with Call of Duty Warzone, which is always my go-to. So we're starting off with 28 degrees CPU temperature and 51% battery, and the screen brightness is at 100% with adaptive refresh rate. Highest visual quality in here is very low, so that's disappointing, but everything else I've set to high. And the game was running fine, though the graphics do look awful, I have to say, almost pixelated at times, but FPS wise it was running smooth enough. If I had to guess, I would say around the mid-20s to 30 range, definitely not the 60 smoothness that we would expect. 6 minutes in and the CPU temperature has jumped up to 36 degrees and the battery is at 48%, so we lost 3% so far. I'm just going to run around here. And after 10 minutes of playing, the temperature is up at 38 degrees and battery is down 47%. The phone did feel a bit warm around the camera module and the frame. Next, we'll jump into GTA Vice City and crank the resolution all the way up. Game is running smooth enough, though certain times I could tell it would struggle a little and the FPSs would drop if I was like driving really fast in the car or if there was quite a bit going on in the game. So I'm going to turn the resolution down to midway, and that definitely helped with it running smoother than before, but again I think the FPS range is locked to 30 on this game anyway, no higher than that. And yeah, it was smooth enough here, so it probably was hitting that range. After 15 minutes in, we're at 37 degrees temperature and the battery is down to 45%. Let's jump into Genshin Impact. With the default graphics settings and all seems to be running well. Game looks good as usual. Nice colors on here, though it's probably not running at the highest FPS, but it was still running nice and smooth. But I'm gonna crank it up, set everything to the highest available. And now, obviously the graphics look sublime. The gameplay is still smooth enough, although I feel like it was dropping FPSs here and there, but still totally playable. And we can see that the temperature of the battery is at 42 degrees now, so you know the phone is heating up quite a bit as it's trying to push these higher graphics. And then after roughly 27 minutes of back-to-back gaming, CPU temperature ended up at 42 degrees, so Genshin Impact had heated things up quite a bit. Battery had dropped down to 39%, so that's a total of 12% battery lost, which isn't too bad considering I've had the brightness at 100% as well. Final verdict is that yes, some games will have limited graphics from the get-go, so Call of Duty Warzone, and others will allow you to use high graphics, but it's the classic scenario. If you want smoother gameplay, then the graphics need to be dialed down, or vice versa. But overall, it's an enjoyable experience for the most part on the HMD Fusion, so I wouldn't say it's too bad for gaming. And quickly have a look at the phone after all of that gaming, and it was running absolutely fun. On the battery side of things, the HMD Fusion is working with a 5000 mAh battery which supports up to 33 watt charging, that's PD and QC. In the settings, normal stuff here really. battery usage. You can have super battery saver to further extend your battery life. Adaptive battery. We have battery protection, which is always good to see. So you can limit the maximum battery to 80%, which will help protect it even longer. And we have battery info as well. So it'll show you the health of your battery and how many charge/discharge cycles you've done. On my PC More battery life, done really well. 13 hours, 59 minutes, or basically 14 hours. And this is down to 20%. And this was my usual settings, 75% brightness and 25% volume with adaptive refresh rate. And for me, the battery life has been really good, I have to say. Found it in the case with phones that have this kind of setup with an LCD display and a 5000 milliamp or north battery. The Snapdragon 4 Gen 2 is also a really good CPU when it comes to efficiency, and from my use you can get a day's worth of heavy use out of this, or if you do more casual use then at least 2 or 3 days. So battery was definitely a highlight of this one. For optics, the HMD Fusion has a dual rear camera setup, and that's a 108 megapixel lens along with a 2 megapixel depth camera, and then it has a 50 megapixel front facing camera. Quickly look at what options we have. We have night, portrait, photo, video, and in the more we have things like dual sight, time lapse, things like that. You can turn on wind noise reduction and stability control in the video section, 30 fps or 60 fps, but funnily enough I couldn't pick the resolution, so I don't know what it was locked to. Further settings, normal stuff here, location tag, haptic feedback, HEIF format, watermarks, things like that. Photo, we have additional things like Google Lens. We can have motion if you wanted that. You have your beautify settings, AI portrait, HDR, automatic or on at all times, and then your flashlight. And then further settings here, high resolution, focus peaking, locked folder, level meter. And in portrait, you can adjust the bokeh strength, so up to 10 or down to 0. And in night mode, you have tripod mode that you can turn on and off, so that will allow you to get better night pictures. But we'll check out some examples of some videos and pictures, and I have to say, quite decent. Quite windy out here, so I've turned on wind noise reduction to see what the mic sounds like. Checking our stabilization. Zoom function. 10x zoom. And then we have what HMD is calling the Fusion outfits, which is basically a case, so the additional ones that actually connect to the connector aren't out at the moment. I ordered this thinking it might be something a bit more than a case, but it turned out to just be a blue case, to be honest. But looks good enough, I have to say. Don't know if it's worth 25 quid though. And then you will have eventually smart outfits, and they can connect to the connector as I mentioned, and you will have various things like wireless charging outfit, or a flashy outfit, which is a ring light on top of the phone, or a rugged outfit. So various options, but these are yet to be released. When it comes to repairability, which is a huge factor of HMD Fusion, it takes a more user-friendly approach compared to many of its competitors. It's got a removable back panel, and the phone allows for relatively easy access to the internal components, making things like battery replacements less of a hassle, an important factor for long-term usability, which is a big plus for those who are looking to extend the life of their phone. And HMD teamed up with iFixit, where you will be able to purchase parts for the Fusion along with step-by-step guides on how to do so, and you can follow those instructions there. And that said, while many components are modular and easy to replace, the process still requires a bit of technical knowledge. So HMD Fusion scores well on the repairability, especially for a budget device, and offers a level of longevity that we don't often see in this price range. So if you're someone who values sustainability and repair access, this is definitely a standout feature. In conclusion, the HMD Fusion offers a decent option in the mid-range smartphone market, particularly for users looking for reliable performance without breaking the bank. Powered by the Snapdragon 4 Gen 2, it handles everyday tasks smoothly, though it may struggle under heavy multitasking or demanding gaming. The device shines in its battery life, comfortably lasting through a full day of use, which will appeal to those needing longevity on the go. One standout feature is the Gen 2 repairability, making it easier and more affordable to repair compared to other models in the same category, an important factor for users who prioritize sustainability and long-term ownership. However, the camera performance is somewhat of a mixed bag, especially in low light conditions, and it might not satisfy everyone. Photos were good, but video just kind of fell apart as we saw. The display is decent for the price range, but it lacks the punch and brightness that we see in some other competitors. And software wise, the near stock Android experience is clean, and having 2 OS upgrades is good enough, but could be a bit longer, but it's better than nothing. Ultimately, the HMD Fusion is a capable device that delivers on core functionality with the added bonus of good repairability. For those seeking a fairly budget-friendly smartphone with a decent battery life, clean software experience and easy repair option, it's worth considering. Anyways, that's all from me, guys. Don't forget to like the video if you did like it, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.